Alrighty. Excuse me. Let's get right into the end of today. Starting off with the almighty dollar CAD. Crazy and calm, right? So, the 4 hour, we last had a break and it's been pushing up since. We were looking for continuations on the M15. Excuse me. And so we had a break of structure right at around 11:30. We sort of were looking for something in here, but the price just melted right through there, as you can see, around 1, which would have invalidated anything in there. And then this was the other zone I was looking at down here, close but no dose, as it happens sometimes just before moves back up, which in turn is now a break of structure right there, right? And so the 15-minute swing low will be here, and then we'll have the extreme zone being this one here for tomorrow if we are following price action upright. Not too bad, normal price action, just missed out here, and yeah, it's continuing up. And so yeah, follow the momentum, not fight it is the, it's not the model. I just said that now, man. And GBP USD, we came in around 8, as you can see here. I was looking for a sell within this 1 hour POI / 4 hour buy to sell, right? Just as a continuation down. We came into this 1 hour, switched bearish, but never really presented an opportunity, right? Just pretty much melted down, right? Again, after the break of structure, comes back into here, but no real opportunity to sell. No real opportunity because we would have used a risk entry, right? Since there is no change of character, would have had a risk entry at the 60%, and yeah, no tag again before it continues down. And then in here also use a risk entry, but the way it comes back in and how far it is, you also prefer to wait for the M5, which does not present. So nothing really in there, as you would know. No FE stuff, right? Trying to avoid the FE stuff. But in terms of what would happen going forward, like if 4 hours still bearish, it's come into sort of an extreme, right, of the 4 hour, should see some sort of a reaction. So maybe we'll start looking for buys at some point, right? If we sweep the swing high and then start playing that 4 hour pullback. But at this point in time, obviously looking for sells is higher probability just because of how much it's selling at this point in time. And so Euro USD, for the last day of the month, we end up taking a loss. We took a loss on the first day and we took a loss on the last day. Only 2 trades for the month. First day, last day, both losses. Whatever include, you have what, like losing opener, and then a winner for the closing. But it is what it is. Not a terrible trade per se, right? I think I'd take this one 9 times out of 10. Nothing really to complain about. Let me just go over it. Easy wincy bit. So the 4 hour after the break of structure came into this daily zone, plus swept there, mitigating a little bit more of the demand left down there. So in my mind, we should be poised for a pullback, right? Which means buys. And then we do have this buy to sell zone 4 hour in there. I didn't really look at it during the day, only after the events of the trade, simply because I don't like looking at buy to sells. I prefer pivot zones, but neglected to spot that it was actually a reaction from the extreme down here, so kind of is valid, even though the mitigation is like a baby mitigation. Anyway, mitigation is mitigation, but still, there's a tiny mitigation right there, right? You have your internal being bullish, so it's a counter swing trade, but pro internal, right? Because the internal is bullish to facilitate the pullback. In my mind, we probably will pull back into this zone over here, right? This M15 here. Hence, I only had my TP, my TP2 up to there, making only a 1:2 trade. TP before that because I expect the market to turn in there, so I wouldn't have pushed for a 3.3, which pushes deeper into the zone, which makes it less likely. In terms of the zone I traded from, we had an internal break right there, small pullback, and then a push up. Once you get the push up, looking for 5-minute confirmation in there. We do end up getting a 5-minute LC1, which is a little bit different from the normal one, right? The normal one would have been within the pullback from here. You want to see it go down, right? Create a low, right? Low, then sweep the high, which makes this a strong low, and then upon the sweep of a strong low, that is only when you want to enter and go up. Something like this, right, is what you would look for. I could even put that there. Actually not. Okay, yeah. Something like this is what you usually look for. But there is other ways to enter, more riskier ways, which was the one used today, which is an LC1, where you use the liquidity below this pivot here, or could have used the M15, where this is a inside bar, which is a pullback on the lower time frame. As you can see over here, it's a pullback, right, then goes up. So the sweep of this, and then coming into here, you would take the trade. And so I think this should have been a loss regardless, right? I'll explain something. The only, I think, not mistake, but kind of a mistake, but I'm not too mad about it because this was a valid loss, right? But within this 5-minute candle, it would have broken the high in there, which means the original entry should have been like somewhere there, covering the low just about there, which means you would have taken your loss earlier. Instead, I ended up entering on this candle for 1:2 because I had missed this entry but had conviction in the move, right? And so ended up entering, I'd say, pretty much willy-nilly, with the 1:2 still being valid. and so I'd say that's the only difference. I'd say is I ended up entering willingly, but had I still entered according to the plan, it would have still been a loss. Hence, I'm not angry about this. I don't know. Maybe was there a little bit of FOMO in there where it's the end of the month? Maybe you want to end it on a high. You miss out on the initial move, which clouds your judgment into thinking that it may still continue and you enter something along those lines. But I think overall, not too. That's not a bad trade by any means. Just the fact that I entered after it had already. I've already missed my window is the bad part. So maybe just work on that a little bit, right? And then last is EuroJPY. Nothing in here, man. Yesterday we had a break of structure here, went down. Today pretty much a straight move up. Nothing to follow in here unless you would have been looking for something in here. And as always, I don't do the iffy trades, like following price very closely. I basically avoid those. Today, maybe tomorrow shall be better. Maybe. Yeah, peace.